All right, so we're going to start with the first part of breathwork, what I'm calling breathwork one. This is just really the foundational basics of what it takes to get yourself in a position, get your body ready, get your mind in a place to use breath and step into the power of what something so simple and something everybody can do at all ages. Okay, maybe not at 2 years old, but this is great for kids all the way up to year old age in your 90s. So as we talk about breath, sometimes it feels too simple and we gloss over it or we move past things that are really important. And it's something I've learned in yoga is that, like, my daughter did yoga with me one day and we were doing a pose. And this pose required us to, kind of put our arms out to the side like this, right? And the more like you shot your arm out and you held this position, and you twisted it around and you held this, it was tough. Like your arms straining, your muscles are firing, and you start sweating. My daughter's like, "Oh, I'm doing it." Like, okay, you're kind of doing it, but it's not hard. And that's why she's like, "Oh, it wasn't that difficult." But going from this to this and holding these things, it's the same basic movement, but it changes everything in our body, in our souls, in our minds, in our physiological system. So that's what I want to draw your attention to today. So when we talk about breath, let's first and foremost, studies have shown that the best breath for all situations, whether you're anxious or whether you're depressed or whether you're calm or whether you're going to go exercise, all things, the best breath is a 5.5 second in, 5.5 second out. I usually like to count this 5 seconds with a transition, which counts as that half a second on the front and back end of it. So say one, one, and that sort of circular rhythm where there's no stopping at the top. It's just 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This circular breath, right? This 5.5 in, 5.5 out. So this 11 seconds of circling our breath up and down. This is it's such a powerful place to start. It's one of these, that's so simple. Yeah, it's actually stupidly simple. And yet it's not easy. And what I mean by that is try it right now. Try it on your own. Try it with me. And I think you'll find getting yourself to focus on how this breath works, consistently getting it right, not tripping up over yourself, doesn't just happen. Like, you've actually got to pay attention. You've got to be present. So let's do it, right? Simple, not easy. It can become easy because it's something you can really train yourself to do ritualistically, uh, consi- consistently, automatically. So let's get into it. So let's try this one more time. We're going to do 10 cycles of this. Ready? So let's go. Let's go. Up, 2, 3, 4, 5. Down, 2, 3, 4, 5. Up, 2, 3, 4, 5. Down, 2, 3, 4, 5. Up, 2, 3, 4, 5. Down, 2, 3, 4, 5. Up, 2, 3, 4, 5. Down, 2, 3, 4, 5. Up, 2, 3, 4, 5. Down, 2. And as we go back up, ready? Up, you're going to start counting on your own. Okay. Down. And you're going to be able to keep this rhythm on your own for the next 4 times to do this. Up, down. The last 3 are going to be on your own, okay? Last part down. All right. So as we go throughout our day, this 5.5 second in and out breath really is where we want to train our body to breathe most of the time. The more often we can be here, the clearer headed we are. The more we stay out of either a lower depressed state or a heightened anxious state. Our body is oxygenated. We're feeling good. You should just feel a really light tingle on your, kind of your shoulders and your upper body. Should feel good. One thing we can add to this, and for me, this gets into a little bit more of slowing things down, is getting into boxed breathing. So what we just did was circular breathing. Boxed breathing is where we have pauses at the top and the bottom. More often than not, it's consistent. So it's 4 up, 4 hold, 4 down, 4 hold. But really, we can do this however we want. And you can play with this based on what you need at the moment. So let's just do the standard, 4 box. So it's 1, 2, 4, hold, 2, 3, 4, let go, 2, 3, 4, hold, 2, 3, 4. That's it. That's the box breath. And what we can play with is either changing our in breath or changing our out breath. So as of right now, what we've learned is circular breathing, just your consistent, everyday, amazing breath at 5.5 seconds in and out. Box breathing, however you choose to do this. We did 4 up, 4 hold, 4 down, 4 hold. Now here's where we can start to change things. If you're feeling anxiety, which let's be real, that's where a lot of us are a lot of the time. What we want to do is we want to have a longer out breath than we do an in breath. So if we're going to do in a circular pattern, if we're going to do a 4 in, we want to do a 6 out. And as we get better, maybe we want to do an 8 out. So this looks something like, let's go in. 1, 2, 3, 4, out. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. In, 2, 3, 4, out. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So the in breath is more powerful. It's quicker, but it allows you to just slowly breathe out what's in your lungs, and that ratio, whatever it looks like, whether it's 4-6, 4-7, 4-8, it allows your entire system to just calm down. Your nervous system shifts. And if you want to see an even more dramatic movement, we add a pause. Not a box breath, but we add a pause at the top. So a common breath is called 4-7-8. I think it's a little bit more advanced. It's easier to start with something like a 4-4-6. So it's in for 4, hold for 4, out for 6. And you do that, I think 10 times is a good rule of thumb. It's going to give you about 2 minutes of breathing in a certain way. And you're going to find in situations that life throws at you, whether that's at home, at work, in the car, road rage that happened to me just yesterday. These simple breathing techniques will start to shift everything. So we can also extend it into a box breathing. Although for me personally, I prefer a short in, short hold, longer out. right back into a short in, short hold, longer out. I feel like that for me works the best as I'm trying to release tension and slow things down and calm things down. So we've learned 3 breaths. We've learned a circular breath, we've learned a box breath, and we've learned what I call a triple breath. Um, all of them shift our nervous system. All of them can calm us down. And we can use any of these 3, the circular, the box, or the triple breath, to actually raise our energy. So we're not always anxious. Sometimes we're either tired or sad or depressed, or maybe we're just normal. We want to pump ourselves up because we want to go exercise or get ourselves just ready to go, kick butt on a project. It's just the reverse, right? So instead of it being a short in breath and a long out breath, it's a longer in breath and a quicker out breath, or 1-to-1, anything over a 1-to-1 ratio. So it might be a 4-second in, 2-second out, 4-second in, 2-second out, 4-second in, 2-second out. And the other piece to this is just quickening our breath. So I'll teach you guys these exercises as we get into the second part of the breath work. But one of the other things we do is starting to increase the cadence of these breaths, right? So we'll get into these specifics in breath work part 2. But what I really want you to pay attention to at this point in time is, how do we shift our state of mind from something with some level of anxiety to just a neutral place? Because that is where we find ourselves. I find myself most of the time where I need help, where I need to step into breath, like 90% of the time. The last piece on these foundational 2 breath work is breathing in your nose versus breathing in your mouth, or breathing out your nose versus breathing out your mouth. Breathing in your nose is best. It's not always possible, especially as we do some of these more energetic breaths. Stuff we'll get into, like breath of fire, pranayama. It's hard to do it through your nose as our breath speeds up. But as we use breath to slow down, breathing in through our nose, especially on the in breath, is really where we start to cleanse ourselves and change our nervous system. Breathing out, if we breathe out through our nose, it does keep a consistent rhythm inside, but it also builds a little bit of heat. It's something we also use in yoga to breathe in and breathe out through our nose. The heat stays inside. When you breathe in your nose and out your mouth, you're releasing more heat. So if you feel like that's built up in you, like for instance, when I'm upset, I not only have anxiety, but I've got heat, this emotion built up. I like to use a in through my nose, out through my mouth breath, right? When I'm just like, gosh, like I'm just feeling heavy and I'm nervous and I'm anxious, I like to stick with everything through my nose if I can. It's a calmer, more consistent breath. So whether you're doing circular breathing, box breathing, the triple breath, all of it can be done through your nose, out your nose, or any combination of. There's just rarely a situation where you're going to be breathing in through your mouth, except for when we're doing some really fast, it's really hard to get enough oxygen through your nose. At least that's what your body is telling you. So final recap is circular breath, box breath, triple breath. Breathing in through your nose as much as possible, breathing out through your mouth, especially to release heat. And mixing it up and using any combination. There is no other secret. Everything else we're going to teach you, there are things people have found, I've found that work for us, but they're all variations of a circular breath, a box breath, this triple breath. Sometimes with holds. That's the Wim Hof method, is more of a consistent breath with a hold. And we can do different variations of this to achieve different things. And we'll get into that. But I encourage you, practice and play on your own. The goal is that you don't need an app. You don't need somebody walking you through this all the time, because that's part of what we talked about in the intent call in the intent to be intentional is that you want to be able to show up and do all these techniques on your own without anybody around, without technology. Half of what we're trying to do here is unplug ourselves from our phone, from having to be beholden to watching even videos like this. I don't want you to watch this over and over and over again. I want you to learn. This is class. And then how do you incorporate this so you're on vacation, you're on the beach, you're out in the woods, and you find a rock and you sit there and you do your practice. That's our goal. All right. Good luck. Let me know if you got questions. Cheers.